This video is going to fly through what are the 8 best weapons to use inside Black Ops 6's multiplayer at the moment. This is a definitive list of what are the top most picked guns based off of stats and what other players are using, and we're going to get... So as I said, this list is based off of stats, and if you want to see all the TTK numbers, we've already got that all on the channel from every single weapon category other than the shotgun. So that's the only weapon category we have not covered, and that's just because I don't personally like shotguns. But like I said, this is also taken into consideration what are the #1 most picked weapons in the game in general. So as we can see here, we've got a list of that as well. So these are the top picked guns in the game. There's 8 of these guns in total, and the only issue with this website, and I would have just basically shown you these builds alone with nothing else, and the reason why I haven't done that for this video is because these are based off of 8 attachment setups, and obviously when you're starting the game you only get 5 attachments, so that is why we're covering what are the best 5 attachments for these guns. So now we're going to fly through the builds because we don't want to waste your time here, because a lot of the builds are repeated anyway for the same weapon categories. So assault rifles are going to be pretty similar to what we've just built here on this AK-74. So we do want an optic on this one. The reason why is because the iron sights are not great on the AK-74, so please do use an optic. Whatever one you want to use is your personal preference. There's quite a lot of good options here, but the one that we like to use is the Microflex. Compensator is the only muzzle attachment that does help, kind of mainly with recoil. That's why we went with that option. Some people are using the suppressor, but that's mainly on the 8 attachment build, so just keep that in mind when you are building this weapon, and this gun does have quite a bit of recoil. The only underbarrel attachment you should be using is the first one, which is the vertical foregrip. This is the only underbarrel attachment, other than maybe the Ranger if you want a bit more movement speed, but like I said, for the best recoil, vertical foregrip. Extended mags we are using on this gun. Most guns you will be using some kind of magazine option, whether it's for faster reloads or extended mags. And then we are using the recoil springs. Now we might make a whole separate video on how well the recoil springs actually help with recoil on every single weapon, like we did with the rapid fire one. So if you do want to see that video, leave it in the comments below and we will test out the recoil springs. But it does help, so I do want to let you know that it is a beneficial attachment to use in general. But that's the AK-74. Moving on into the Model L now, very similar build, and you do want to use an optic on this gun once again because the irons on this gun are not great. So we are using the Microflex once again, Compensator once again, vertical foregrip once again, extended mags 1, we don't really need to go crazy on this one, and then we are using the recoil springs once again because this gun does need the extra help. Next up, we've got the AS Val. Now, I do want to mention that you can alter this build slightly. Now, it is an assault rifle, so we can stick with the standard build that I've just mentioned before, and that's the vertical foregrip, the extended mags 2, which is the second option, or you can actually go for 3 as well, but it is going to con your movement a lot more just for an extra 5 rounds. We are using the ergonomic grip for better movement because this is more like an SMG than it is like an assault rifle. So just keep that in mind. We're using the balanced stock here instead, and that's for the extra movement speed, so slightly different to the usual builds for assault rifles. And we are using the recoil springs once again. Now, what I would recommend on this gun is please try out the rapid fire mod as well, and the reason for that is because the AS Val has insanely good TTKs, and if you can manage the recoil with the rapid fire, you get even better TTKs with this gun, and it basically beats a lot of the SMGs as well, so it's worth giving it a try. If you don't like the recoil control, obviously, then you can switch back, and the iron sights on the AS Val are actually not too bad, so you can get away without using any sort of iron sights on this gun. And keep in mind, there's no muzzle attachment for this gun here, so please note nothing else in terms of like barrels and stuff are actually going to help with recoil control. Last but not least, when it comes to assault rifle builds, we do have the XM4 here. Like I mentioned, it's probably the most well-rounded assault rifle in the game, especially when it comes to the stats and stuff. But with this gun in particular, we've got the standard builds, so the Compensator, vertical grip, extended mags 1, and then we are using the ergonomic grip here, which helps us slide, dive, and aim down sight speed, which is going to be quite useful because the iron sights on this gun are not that bad. If you're not a massive fan of the iron sights, then obviously switch this attachment out for an optic, of course, and then obviously the recoil springs once again. And you can also choose rapid fire on this gun too if you really want to. It helps out a ton on the XM4, but that's going to come down to personal preference. Moving on to the SMGs now. Again, these builds are quite similar, and especially when it comes to SMGs across the board, the builds are going to be pretty much the same. So you do want to use that vertical grip once again for the recoil control, which mainly helps with horizontal control. Then we are using the extended mags with this one. So this is extended mags 1. Ergonomic grip in this case for the slide, dive, and aim down sight speed. Then we are using the balance stock, which is one that helps with strafing, movement, hip fire movement, and aim walking speeds. Now, some people are using the combat stock, but that helps with flinch resistance, which I don't think is a big of a pro as all the other stuff we're getting with the balanced stock instead. So this is my personal preference. And then we are using the recoil springs. So once again, you can choose rapid fire for better TTKs. KSV already has insanely good TTKs anyway, so you don't necessarily need that. You might want to be landing your shots a bit better, and again, that's going to give you slightly better TTKs as well because you're landing more shots. Next up, we've got the Jackal PDW, which is one of the more easier to control SMGs in the game. It's actually probably my favorite SMG in the game, to be honest. Vertical grip, extended mags 1, ergonomic grip again, which is the one that helps with the slide, dive, and aim down sight speed. Balance stock once again for the better movement speeds, and then the recoil springs once more. Now we've got the C9, and the build's pretty much the same, like I said. Vertical foregrip, extended mags 1, ergonomic grip, again it's the same one that helps the slide, dive, and ADS. Balanced stock once more, and then the recoil springs again. Again, you can play around with the rapid fire on this one if you want to, but I think most people will go towards getting better control. The iron sights on the SMGs are actually a lot cleaner than the assault rifles, by the way. That's just a side note, so please, if you stay away from the iron sights on SMGs, you can get an extra attachment slot there, especially using a 5 attachment build. Last but not least, we've got the PP919, which by changing the mag size does give you faster reloads, which is quite useful. This is a very low recoil gun as well, by the way, just to keep in mind. It doesn't have an under barrel grip option. It does have barrels, but none of these help with recoil control, as we all know. So that's why we're using the compensator here to get a bit more horizontal and vertical control. Then we are using the ergo grip again for the same bonuses as before. Balance stock again for the same bonuses as before. And the recoil springs once more. You can choose rapid fire on this gun, but it doesn't really help all that much. You'd rather get the better control, to be honest. It's more beneficial on some of the faster TTK weapons because it gives you that insanely good TTK if you can manage the control of the gun, obviously. But that's the top 8 best guns inside Black Ops 6 right now. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to subscribe, and thank you very much for watching.